Hello everyone, Ollie here from 𝔽𝕚𝕝, and today I'm going to be reviewing the latest film by Zach Cregger, Weapons. Now, if you didn't check out last night, I did do a out of the cinema review for the film, and if you haven't watched the video, I was very lost for words because I had so many thoughts running through my head and I couldn't work out what to say within the minute and a half that I had left to talk about the film. So my first thought in my head was just like, you know what, I'm going to say to them, listen, I'm going to have to get back to you tomorrow when I do my full review, just now, so I can really digress my thoughts and try and figure out what I liked, what I didn't like. So yeah, here I am now, discussing my thoughts. But before I do go into my full review, my full spoiler review, which is in the title, I will say for people that haven't watched the film yet and are wanting to watch the film, please don't let me spoil the film for you. Please go check it out. It is a bold, fresh and unique take in the horror genre. To me, it wasn't very life-altering, which a lot of the advertising and a lot of the early buzz was telling me. It is unique, bold and fresh, as I just said. So do yourself a favour, turn off this video, go watch the film, then come back and we can discuss it in the comments below if you wish. So let's get on with my spoiler review for Weapons, and I have 5 positives, 3 mixed and 2 negatives, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so I just realised, I don't know what was going on with my microphone, but luckily the camera audio picked up my voice, so thank God that worked. But my microphone should be working now because I can see the little icon there, so if the audio is better, that's why it's changed. So let's get in with my positives for Weapons. First of all, I will say the performances from pretty much everyone is pretty damn solid. In particular, one person, which I'll get to in a minute, but the first person we pretty much get introduced to is Julia Garner's character named Justine. Is basically, this is the teacher from this one particular classroom of kids that are the ones that have disappeared. I think 17 kids, 17 children that disappeared in this one particular classroom. And obviously that's kind of the overall mystery. It's like, why is it only this group of children from this particular classroom has disappeared? Why is it not why is it not, I don't know, like 4 kids from one classroom and then another few, and then no, it's just all 17 kids except for one from this one classroom has disappeared. It's like, why these 17 kids in this one classroom? And obviously that's the mystery. So obviously Julia Garner, Justine obviously gets a lot of the blame, especially from the parents, the parents of the missing kids, and obviously she gets a lot of the shade thrown on her, and she's kind of the one, for most people are taking the blame for her because obviously it's her classroom, she's the one that's teaching these kids. Why is it only these 17 kids? So yeah, seeing her perspective of the film and following her throughout the film was very interesting, and I thought she did a very good job, Julia Garner. So she was very good. Josh Brolin as, what's his name again? I keep forgetting his name. Archer. Josh Brolin as Archer. I thought he was quite good as well. Could have had a little bit more with him, but you know, for what we got with Josh Brolin, I thought he was very good as Archer. He's one of the parents that had lost one of those 17 kids. I think the kid was named Andrew, I think his name was. And obviously he's a very protective father, and he's like, shit, where's my kid? And he's one of the parents that takes the blame for Justine initially. And yeah, they kind of have a big feud, and yeah, I just think Josh Brolin was very good as that character, despite me wanting more of him. So yeah, Josh Brolin was great. Who do I have next? We have Alden, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but Alden, who I know as young Han Solo from Solo: A Star Wars Story, who is great in that. But he's great in this. He plays Paul, who is Justine's ex-boyfriend, and also a police officer. And yeah, just I think, yeah, all of these characters that we get introduced to is very interesting because I'll talk about it in a second, but the way the film portrays these characters and how we perceive them and how we connect with them is very interesting. And seeing Paul, he's a very interesting character. His appearance as well is quite funny because I didn't initially notice who he was, and I was like, that's young Han Solo, isn't it? But under that big bushy mustache, that very Tom Selleck mustache that he has, I was like, oh shit, Alden. That was cool. But yeah, he's great. He's quite funny as well in certain aspects, as well as another couple of other characters. But he's probably him, and another character I'll get into in a minute. He's very funny. But he was great. And then I think he's the next character. Yeah, James, who's played by Austin Abrams. Never heard of him before in my life. But he plays James, who's this kind of junkie. And he's probably the funniest of all the characters, I'd say. And then I'd say Alden is next, is Paul. But James, he's cool, he's funny. He's not cool, but he's funny. But he's a junkie, obviously, and you kind of have, a little bit of suspicion from him because he's a bit, dodgy. So yeah, he's a great character. And yeah, just following him as well is quite interesting because you think following a junkie is like, it's a bit uninteresting, but it is interesting when you see what happens. But yeah, oh my fucking laptop's about to die. That's good, isn't it? I'll be back in a second. Right, just put my laptop on charge, so it shouldn't die now. So yeah, so those four characters that I've listed are great. Benedict Wong, who I forgot to mention in the Out of the Cinema review because I only mentioned Josh Brolin and Julia Garner. But Benedict Wong, who we know as Wong in the MCU, he was great as well. He plays Marcus, who's the school principal. Yeah, the only part I knew of him before watching the film was that picture of him when he goes all crazy, and it's like, ugh. But finding out how he became crazy was quite interesting, but I'll get to that. And then probably, no, I'll get to this person last. But Alex, the little kid, the one kid that isn't missing in this film, that doesn't go missing, is Alex. And he was good as well. I don't know if this was the child's first film, but he was good. He wasn't the standout role of the film, but the person I will get to in a minute is. But I thought he was good. His name's Kerry Christopher. He was good. So Alex is good. And then I'm just going to get straight to Amy Madigan, who plays Gladys, Aunt Gladys. Obviously, I've never heard of Amy Madigan before watching this film. And yeah, she was definitely the standout of this film, and I think a lot of other people that have watched the film do agree with that. And she was essentially the culprit behind the missing kids. She's the one that I saw online before watching the film with all this clown makeup and everything, and immediately I was just like, she is the one that's capturing the kids, and unfortunately I was correct. So yeah, so she was the standout role. She was really creepy, kind of annoying at the beginning. She's like this kind of like, she kind of puts on this character. She's not actually this character all the way through. She puts on this persona of this kind of like caring aunt, with obviously having all the makeup on and everything, and the ginger or redhead wig, which was very disturbing. And then obviously when you see her later on, when she's near enough bald and she's crazy, and that's when I think she's at her best. But she is good when she's this kind of charismatic, caring aunt. She's good there, but later on in the film, I just think she's at her best there. But yeah, she's definitely the standout role of all the characters and all the performances. There's no one else really to talk about in terms of every other character, because those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters that are pretty mainstream. Not mainstream, that are pretty crucial to the plot. But yeah, those are all 7 of those characters that I've described are really good. So moving on to my second positive. Oh, shit. So my second positive is the way this film is structured. By that being obviously the way that there's kind of chapters for each character, different perspectives we see for each character, which is really cool. Initially, I mean, I heard about this before going to watching the film, but I wonder if it would have changed my experience of the film, because obviously what happens after every character we follow, it gets cut off at the best moment, and then it's just like, oh god, what happened there? But actually it turned out really good in that way, because it could have been just been like a bit of dick teasing, where it's just like it cuts off at a really good moment and just changes. And I know plenty of experience that I've had with films and games, so The Last of Us Part 2. But yeah, it ended up being a really good payoff. The payoff was actually really good, the way they did that. But having us seeing different perspectives for each character in this same situation was really interesting and unique, and that was one of my favourite parts of the film. So yeah, seeing Justine first, then seeing Josh Brolin's character, keeping his name, Archer, and then it was, I think it was Paul next, I think, and then it was James, then it was Alex. I think I'm missing someone. I'm missing Benedict Wong's character. He's before Alex. So it's Justine, Archer, Paul, James, what the fuck is his name again? Marcus, and then Alex. So yeah, all six of these characters have their own chapters, which is really interesting. So now moving on to my next thing, which is really cool about the perspectives and stuff, with the camera angles, where we stick to these particular characters, like Julia Garner at the beginning, when we kind of track her behind, and also in front as well. We follow her behind her and in front of her, which is a really interesting way of connecting with these characters. It's almost like we're with them in a way, but not too distracting. So the camera angles are really good. The sound effects, the sound effects is the next thing I want to talk about. The creepy moments. There's one particular moment which I found quite creepy, is when obviously Justine, Julia Garner's character, is obviously in the car, seeing what Alex is up to. She's outside her house in the car. She's kind of out of it because of her drinking, so she's asleep, and we see this door open out of Alex's house, and all we see is just pitch black, and you're like, what the fuck is going to come out of that door? And there's this fucking woman comes out, which it turns out to be Alex's mum, and she has these scissors in her hands. She comes down to the car, she comes out of frame, and then you hear either the back door open, or the boot open, or the trunk, and you hear it open, and you're just like, oh shit. The way that they use the sounds and stuff in this film is really, really effective. So it opens up, all we see come into frame is the scissors, and you think, oh shit, Justine's ear or something's going to come off. But it turns out she just snips a lock of her hair and just goes back into the house, and you're like, oh shit, what the hell was that about? And then that's when Justine's part of the story, her perspective, ends, and then moves on to Archer, Josh Brolin's character. So yeah, that was really interesting. You're just like, what the fuck happened there? And then obviously we get told later what happens and what the reasons for that. So really great bit there. That's one of my favourite scenes in the film. Really creepy and eerie. So the sound effects are great, the visuals are great, the gore and everything, my god, it's crazy. Especially near the end of the film as well, because if you've seen the film, I mean, you should have seen the film, but yeah, crazy gore, crazy violence. Yeah, fitted it really well. Now moving on to my next positive, I think it's just the impact it gave me after watching the film. Like, coming out, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't know what to think. I was just like, shit. Which is basically what I was like in my Out of the Cinema review. I was like, good god, what was that about? So I'd say that's a positive. It was like, it left me like thinking, what the hell did I just watch? So that's another positive. Pretty short on that one. But my final, oh wait, did I go for one? I guess my final positive then is, I guess, the bold direction they went through, and the atmosphere as well. The atmosphere was really creepy, like the nighttime sequences, the dream sequences as well was really creepy. And yeah, just really creepy. There were some sequences where it was a dream within a dream. It was like, Jesus, what's going on here? So the way everything was framed and the way it was executed was really cool and creepy. And just, yeah, by the end of the film, you're just like, god damn. So, yeah, that's kind of my last positive, really. It's just, again, the performances, the bold direction and atmosphere, the sound effects and the visuals, the impact that the film made me feel by the end of the film, and then I think that's it. Did I say the camera angles and movements? I don't think I did, but there you go. So those are my 5 positives. Now, moving on to my mixed aspects of the film. Now, some of these can be altered, some from my positive to my negatives, or can be just completely be stripped away after my second watch or third watch. But my first mixed aspect is basically who is the child that's narrating the beginning and the end of the film. Because it kind of made me lead to suspect if it was one of the victims, one of the children that got abducted, the one that obviously ran away, or if it was a kid in the future telling the story to other people. I don't know, we didn't get an answer to that, so that was kind of my mix. I was a bit like, it's a bit of a nitpicky thing, but it wasn't like a major thing that ruined the film, but it was a bit like, who's that kid? I don't know who that was. So that's my first mixed aspect, is who's the child narrating the film at the beginning and the end of the film. But that's a nitpick. So yeah, my second mixed is, now this one I get why it was left, you know, ambiguous, is Gladys, like her origin, like why is she who she is, how did she become who she is, and what's really her plan, because we kind of get, obviously we get the idea of what her plan is, but like, why is she doing this, like, properly? Obviously I get the fact that obviously she's trying to contain power and health because she's not in the right state at the moment of time in the film, so she's trying to get the amount of energy she needs from the people. I kind of get that, but it's just more her backstory. And I know that Zach Cregger did say that it was left to be ambiguous. Most of her character left to be ambiguous because she is a very creepy presence in the film. So I get that, but it is a mix that I had to mention. So having to get a bit more out of Gladys, like who she is and why she is who she is and all that kind of shit. So that's my second mixed. And my final mixed is pretty much the rewatchability factor, is coming back to the film, and obviously you know what's going to be happening, so it's kind of like, it changes the whole game, really. It's like, you know what's happening, or what's about to happen, but I guess watching it with a friend or a family member, which I'll probably do with my dad, because we watched Barbarian together, so I'll probably watch it again with him when it comes out Blu-ray or something. So it'd be cool to get his thoughts and look at, kind of peek at his reaction. So on that side it's cool, but when you watch it by yourself, it's probably not going to it's not going to give you the same impact, as the first time, because you've unraveled the mystery and you know what happens. So I guess rewatchability, you know, I mean, it's not really Zach Cregger's fault, really, I'd say. It's just something that I probably should have mentioned, that I wanted to mention, and yeah, that's basically my last mixed. So moving on to my 2 negatives. So my first negative of the 2, again, talking about Aunt Gladys, something that I wish that they could have done to make her more ambiguous in a way, like to make her less in view of the audience, being like, that's the person responsible for this, all of the people, all the children being missing and everything. And one thing that I think they could have done to improve to the fact that she isn't the main culprit for this, which obviously she was, but to lower the expectation of that happening, what could have been done is that she could have just been left in the background in certain scenes, like the beginning scene where we see all the parents at this assembly, and obviously we have Justine at the microphone talking about, saying how sorry she is and she wished she had more answers than they had, if that makes sense. But it would have been cool to see Gladys in the background when you see it for the second time or third time, or however many times you see, like, so it'll be like Where's Wally or Where's Waldo, where you'll be like, oh shit, she's there, I didn't even notice she was there before. So it would have been cool to have her in the background and not so much in the foreground, that's what I was meant to say, and have her as something there as like a tease and like a little, I guess you could say Easter egg, like a glimpse of, oh, she was always there. It's like really cool without having her in the dreams and stuff, because that was very much on the nose. It was like, even though I saw a picture of her before watching the film and like, she's going to be the main culprit for this, and she was, and it was like, I just felt it was a little bit on the nose. So changing that would have probably improved it a bit more for me, the experience. But yeah, that's one of my main negatives. And my final negative, or second negative, is this could change. This negative could change to a positive, it could change to a mix. But right now, so having watched *Barbarian* for the first time back in May last year, I really did like the film. I thought, like *Weapons*, it was very bold and unique and fresh. All those 3 words that I've said already multiple times in this, but it's true, it was. And I really liked it the first time, and then I revisited it this April, and I didn't like it as much because I already knew what was going to happen, and I noticed some details. I was just like, yeah, I'm not sure about that. So something that I also noticed on the second watch, properly especially, was with *Barbarian* at least, was that, and I'm talking about *Barbarian*, but I'm going to include it with *Weapons*, but with *Barbarian*, I noticed, to me anyway, from my experience, the tone really shifted to a certain point where it kind of went a bit Looney Tunesy, and it kind of went too comical, a bit too comical, especially near the end. I won't go into too much detail if you haven't seen *Barbarian*, but there's certain bits near the end where it's just a bit like, come on, it's a bit unnecessary, because you've got this tone which is really creepy and stuff, and then all of a sudden at the end you've got something quite comical. But I don't know if that will change for me in the future, which is why I'm a bit like, should I have it in my negative, should I have it in my mixed? So I put it in my negatives mainly because I wanted to have a negative at the time, but it could change, but for now I'm going to put it as my negative, being that Zach Cregger has a thing in *Weapons* as well, where the setup was really good, it's creepy and everything, and really hooks you, and then by the end it kind of goes a bit wacky, you know, like the ending where obviously we see where obviously when we find out obviously where Gladys, how she basically controls people and how they run and shit, and how she manipulates them, is obviously snapping the twig and making all this shit. When obviously they find a way to take control of the kids, so that when they snap the twig and the kids run after Gladys, and there's that kind of funny, it's, I don't know, like, I kind of laughed at the time, but when thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I don't know if it kind of ruined it for me or not. But I've put it in my negatives for now. I don't know how you guys thought about it, if you thought it was good, or if you found it a bit jarring to be like really dark and everything, and then all of a sudden it takes a toll and be like really funny. I don't know how I felt about that, because there were some jokes in the film, like when Josh Brolin wakes up and he's like, what the fuck? I was like, that's me if I have a nightmare. So yes, some jokes I liked, but the funny bits at the very end, involving when she was running out the door and then obviously the kids coming after her, it was a bit, I don't know, it was a bit too funny for me. Like, it was trying to lean too much on that side. But again, that might change in the future. I might look at it differently, I might perceive it differently, but that's just my way of thinking. So that's just me. So yeah, that's all my thoughts I can think of really for *Weapons*. So my overall thoughts on the film, again, I mean, if you watch this review and haven't watched it yet, you should have fucking watched it first and then come back. But for whatever reason, please go check this out if you haven't, and try not going with sky high expectations, because like the 3 words I've already mentioned a dozen times, being fresh, bold and unique as it is, it's not quite as good as a lot of people were making it out to be, for me anyway. But perhaps maybe when you watch it, you might be like, oh, this is really good, in which case, congratulations, good for you. But for me, I didn't perceive it that way, unfortunately. I was like, it was fresh, it was bold and unique, but it wasn't life altering. It was just good. it was quite good, but it just wasn't like, holy shit, this is incredible to me. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10, 4-star. It was pretty damn good. Yeah, I really liked it, and I'll be interested to see what Zach Cregger does next, if it's going to be the same kind of formula, or if it's going to be the same, or different. But I'm also going to have a look out for the actors as well and see what they do in the future, like Julia Garner. Obviously I saw in Fantastic Four First Steps, and she was very good in that. Josh Brolin, I obviously know from The Goonies. Also that was his first film, he was good in that. And then obviously knowing him from Thanos in the MCU. Like that stuff was great as well. Like he's good in that as well. Like I'll be interested to see what he does stuff in the future. And also Alden as well, Alden Ehrenreich, whatever his name is, the guy who plays young Han Solo, like him as well. It would also be really cool to see where Amy Madigan goes from now, because I think she did a lot of like comedic roles, I think, or maybe dramatic roles. I haven't actually had too much of a nosedive into her filmography or anything, but yeah, so that's just my review on Weapons. So if you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have already watched Weapons. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and yeah, let me know what your positives, mixed, and negatives are. Do you like it more than I do? Do you like it less than I do? And yeah, what's your rating? So yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys possibly in the next video. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll see. Bye bye.